What is safetyism?
There's a paradox of prosperity, which is the more comfortable our lives get, the more we can't tolerate discomfort. The safer our lives get, the more we feel threatened by smaller and smaller risks. We've seen an enormous shift in how Americans think about safety and danger. In part, this is progress. It's a good thing that our lives are safer, and we focus on small risks that we didn't think about before. Of course, that's a good thing, especially when we're talking about life-threatening risks. I'm a big fan of seatbelts, banning smoking indoors, and banning lead from everything we can. But when we make safety a value or a virtue, which it is, and then we carry it to extremes, as Aristotle said, any virtue carried to extremes becomes a vice. So if you raise your kids to believe safety comes first, safety is everything, better that you miss out on any amount of experience than that you take any risk. When we begin to worship safety, now we are depriving anti-fragile kids of the kinds of small risks that they need to get stronger. It's as though we said, let's wrap our kids in a bubble because we don't want them exposed to dirt, germs, or peanut dust. You're not helping them, you're harming their development. Another really important psychological idea is the idea of the attachment system, that mammals develop a system that keeps them in proximity with their caretaker, but only until they feel safe enough to now go out and explore. The whole point of having the safety is to give the child the confidence to go away from the safe base and explore, where they take risks, they learn to calibrate risks, and if something's bad, they come running back, but they don't do their learning at the secure base. They do all their learning away from it. Something seems to be going wrong with a lot of parents' attachment systems because they're so focused on safety, they don't want to give the kid the chance to actually go do the learning. When you think that the world is full of dangers, when you tell your kid, if you walk to school, you might be kidnapped. If a person comes up to you and asks you what time it is, run away, stranger danger. If you tell kids that the world is dangerous, they should not engage with it, well, what was the point of them going out into the world? So safetyism is the cult of safety. It's using safety as a framework to say, safety comes first. Safety is what matters. It trumps everything else. Everything is dangerous. I will keep you safe. This is a terrible way to raise kids. Of course, there are times in the world when that's true, when it really is incredibly dangerous. But most kids growing up in modern Western societies don't live in such a world. And for us to treat them as though they are fragile and in danger means we will surround them with restrictions and protections that ensure that they will not grow and develop.
What is the locus of control?
There's a really interesting human motive called effectance. We want to have an effect on the world. And you can see this in babies and toddlers. When they discover that they can move their arm and make a bell ring, they're thrilled. We all love this feeling of effectance. We want to be a force on the world. And in a healthy environment, gradually you become ever more a force on the world. You get a sense that I can control what happens out there. That means I have an internal locus of control. I can make things happen. But if you deprive kids of the chance to affect their world, if you make things happen for them, if you do everything for them, then they have an external locus of control. Things happen around me, I have no control over them. This is associated with depression and weakness in general. We certainly want our kids to have an external locus of control. The best way to do that is to put them in situations where they have the chance to control. Now, they will often fail, but that's part of the learning. The fine-tune. How do I make it come out the way I want? Oh, that didn't work. What can I do? Let me try it again. That's the way you develop an internal locus of control.
What is the danger in helicopter parenting?
So I think previous generations of parents had the motto, either explicitly or implicitly, that their job was to work themselves out of a job, that they were trying to prepare their kids to do things for themselves so that when the parents step back, when the kids go out, they're fully functioning adults. But in the last couple of decades, we've developed a model of parenting in America. I think we invented it, and then we are now exporting it to other countries, sometimes called snowplow parenting or concierge parenting, or most commonly, helicopter parenting, that the parent is always there, looking out, protecting. Oh, you forgot your lunch? I'll bring it to school. Because we wouldn't want the kid to be hungry, we have to bring the kid food. Now, of course, if the kid doesn't have the lunch, the kid's going to have to figure out, well, can I have a bite of your sandwich and I'll give you some of mine tomorrow? Kids can actually figure these things out, but we want to make sure they don't have to. We want to be there to fix the mistakes. This is, of course, a mistake. Helicopter parenting may be driven by the desire to help the kids succeed, but it follows a perverse psychological logic that actually makes it less likely that the kid will succeed. If a parent really wants their kid to have an external locus of control, to feel that they can't affect anything, to feel that they're not a force in the world, be there for them always. Helicopter, hover, fix their problems, cut their meat for them, do their homework for them. That's a really good way to create a passive, weak child who will think that things happen to him or her. If you want your kid to have an internal locus of control, you want to provide a secure home base, a home, a stable relationship that they can always come back to, especially if things go bad. But the whole point of that is to send them out into the world where they can try things, master things, and become independent.
Should we always trust our feelings?
So I would say that the greatest psychological truth of all time, the most widespread one, you find in every wisdom tradition, is this. Buddha said, we are what we think, all that we are arises with our thoughts. Epictetus said, it is not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of their significance. Shakespeare said, there's nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And sages from around the world and across the millennia have basically counseled, don't freak out about every little thing. Put it in perspective, do the internal work, learn how to reappraise things. So you find examples of people walking other people through reappraisal. You find it in Plato, you find it in Boethius, you find it in Buddhism. This is wisdom. This is a basic skill for how you survive in a world in which people are duplicitous, people are selfish, people are dishonest. And so this is an important life skill. This is the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy. It's basically this ancient insight brought into modern life where you learn a series of distortions, a series of common mistakes people make, like catastrophizing, overgeneralizing, mind reading. So if this is ancient wisdom, the opposite of ancient wisdom would be always believe your feelings. What you feel is true, don't question it. If it feels bad, then you have been attacked. This is a really bad thing to teach kids. They're going to live for the rest of their lives with real human beings who sometimes will criticize them, sometimes will insult them. And we all have to learn how to live with the arrows of outrageous fortune. Teaching kids to look within, find their feelings, and see them as true always is a disservice to them. It basically makes them less wise, less capable, less thick-skinned. Now, where would kids learn to always trust their feelings? In many societies, there's a debate between those who say, toughen up, get over it, ignore it. I was just in New Zealand where they tell kids, take a concrete pill, toughen up, kid. Versus those who say, what's the matter? Tell me your tell me your feelings. And you try to go into detail, and you try to find the deep feelings, and you valorize them. Of course you feel that way. There's a time for each of those. But if you shift too far to one, you might, if you shift too far towards toughness, you might be telling kids, especially boys, ignore your feelings. And that's a mistake. But it's also a mistake to go too far the other way and to say, you should never suffer. Nobody should ever make you feel bad. We're going to try to change things so that you don't feel bad. Did someone make you feel bad? We'll act on it. That feels compassionate, but in the long run, it makes the child less equipped to deal with normal exclusion, normal insults, normal teasing, and normal failure.
What is your advice to parents?
I understand how hard it is to raise a kid today. My kids are 10 and 13. They have to apply for competitive schools. So many other kids are doing so much. Are they going to fall behind? It's really hard to raise a kid today. But I think it's really important for parents to think about the long term. What's your goal here? Is your goal to just get your kid over the next hurdle? Or is your goal to make it so that your kid can get over hurdles herself for the rest of her life? And once you think about it long term, and once you understand anti-fragility, now you can do the hard thing, which is to say, I want to help you. I can fix that, but I won't. I won't. And sometimes you have to just turn away, close your eyes. Obviously not if it's a life-threatening emergency, but something like cooking. My daughter is learning to cook, and sometimes I have to just move away. I understand that she might have to actually burn her fingers on the stove. I can't be there always watching her hand, because I realize that if she burns her fingers, she learns, and then she won't do it again. That's really hard to do, and it doesn't feel compassionate, but in the long run, it is the most compassionate thing you can do.
If you like this clip, it is part of a much longer conversation that is only available at dadssavesamerica.com. So head on over there and subscribe. It's our Substack where you can get that and so much more. It's a great way to also keep track of everything we're doing here at Dad Saves America.